Christmas Day 1977, 7:45 in the evening. Across Britain, 28 million people gathered around their televisions. Not for news, not for drama, not for anything important in the way the world usually measured importance. They gathered to watch two middle-aged men in suits tell jokes. Morecambe and Ernie Wise. Morecambe and Wise. The Christmas special. The tradition. The ritual that made Christmas Day complete. In living rooms from Manchester to Edinburgh, from Liverpool to London, families sat together, bellies full of turkey. Quality street tins open, lights dimmed, television glowing. Waiting. This wasn't just entertainment. This was the moment Christmas became Christmas. The moment when Britain stopped being separate houses and became one nation, laughing together, at the same jokes, at the same time. This is the story of that night, and the tradition we lost when television stopped bringing us together. The day had started early. Too early. Children awake at 5, 6 if you were lucky. The sound of wrapping paper being torn, the squeals of delight, the chaos of presents. By 7, most of Britain was awake. Exhausted parents making tea, children playing with new toys, the house already a mess. Christmas morning had its own rhythm. Breakfast, more presents, then the preparation for dinner, the turkey going in the oven at 9, potatoes being peeled, Brussels sprouts being trimmed, the kitchen warming, steaming, the smell of Christmas dinner filling the house. In Manchester, 42-year-old Margaret Foster stood at her kitchen counter, peeling her 20th potato. Her husband Frank sat in the living room with their 3 children, the new Scalextric set already assembled, cars racing around the track, laughter, crashes, the sound of Christmas morning. Margaret glanced at the clock. 10:30, 9 hours until Morecambe and Wise. The thought made her smile. Something to look forward to after all the cooking, all the work, all the family. Just sit down, watch Eric and Ernie. Laugh, that was Christmas. In Liverpool, 67-year-old Arthur Bennett sat in his chair. His daughter and son-in-law were in the kitchen, grandchildren running around. Noise everywhere. Arthur didn't mind. This was what Christmas was supposed to be. Loud, chaotic, full. He'd watched Morecambe and Wise since the 1960s. Never missed a Christmas special, not once. The tradition had started accidentally. 1969, nothing else on. Gave it a try. Laughed more than he'd laughed in years. Every year since, same thing. Christmas Day, 7:45. Morecambe and Wise, his daughter knew, had the TV guide marked. Don't forget, Dad, Morecambe and Wise tonight. As if he could forget. Arthur checked his watch. 9 hours. He could wait. He'd been waiting all year. In Edinburgh, 38-year-old Helen Morrison was already tired. The turkey was in, the vegetables prepared. Her mother-in-law was visiting, sitting in the living room, commenting on everything. Is that how you're doing the potatoes, dear? That's a small turkey for 8 people. In my day, we started preparing yesterday. Helen smiled, nodded, kept working. Tonight, Morecambe and Wise. Her mother-in-law loved them. Everyone did. For 1 hour, the commentary would stop. They'd all sit, watch, laugh, together. That made it worth it. The Queen's speech was at 3. Tradition. The entire nation stopped, gathered around televisions, stood for the national anthem, then sat, listened. The Queen spoke about the Silver Jubilee, about Britain, about family, about tradition. It lasted 15 minutes. When it ended, families went back to dinner. The turkey was carved. Plates were filled. Turkey, roast potatoes, Brussels sprouts, carrots, parsnips, stuffing, gravy. Too much food. Always too much. But that was Christmas. You were supposed to overdo it. Supposed to eat until you couldn't move. Supposed to loosen your belt and groan and say you'd never eat again. Then have dessert. Christmas pudding, brandy butter, mince pies, more groaning, more loosened belts. By 6 o'clock, most of Britain was in food comas, sprawled in chairs, on sofas, children playing with toys, adults half watching television, dozing, the house warm, the lights on, the tree glowing, the debris of Christmas everywhere, wrapping paper, empty boxes, cracker jokes scattered on the table. This was the lull, the quiet between dinner and evening, The time when you recovered, rested, prepared for the second half of Christmas Day. At 7:30, people started positioning themselves, claiming spots, best seats, best views of the television. Margaret Foster's family gathered in the living room, Frank in his chair, Margaret on the sofa, children on the floor. The scale extra set pushed aside, all eyes on the television. Nothing on yet, just the continuity announcer. But they were ready, waiting. Arthur Bennett's living room filled. His daughter, son-in-law, 4 grandchildren, all finding spots. The youngest on Granddad's lap, the others on the floor, cushions brought in, arranged, everyone settling. The Quality Street tin was opened, passed around, the purple one, the green triangle, the toffee penny. Arguments about who got what, laughter, sharing. This was part of it. The ritual of choosing sweets, of fighting over favorites, of Christmas. Helen Morrison's mother-in-law stopped commenting, sat in the good chair, Helen on the sofa with her husband. Children sprawled on the carpet, the room dim, just the glow from the television, the fire crackling, the tree lights twinkling, waiting. At 7:45 it started. The theme music, that piano, unmistakable. Bring me sunshine. Everyone smiled, even before Eric and Ernie appeared. Just the music was enough. Then they were there. Eric with his glasses, his cheeky grin, Ernie with his flat cap, his serious expression. The double act Britain loved. The opening sketch started, Eric making jokes, Ernie being pompous, the rhythm perfect, the timing impeccable, the jokes not complicated, not clever, just funny, simple funny, the kind that made you laugh without thinking, without analyzing, just pure joy. Margaret Foster laughed, properly laughed, the first real laugh all day. Frank chuckled beside her. The children giggled, not understanding all the jokes, but laughing because everyone else was. Because laughter was contagious. Because this was what you did on Christmas night. You watched Morecambe and Wise. You laughed. Arthur Bennett's grandchildren watched confused. This wasn't like their usual shows. This was old, slow, 2 men just talking. But then Eric slapped Ernie. Not hard, just a light slap. And the children laughed. Then Eric did his famous move, grabbing Ernie by the lapels, staring into his face. What do you think of it so far? Pause. Rubbish! The children exploded. That was funny, that they understood. Arthur smiled, watched his grandchildren, watched them discovering what he'd known for years, that Morecambe and Wise were magic. The special guest appeared, Angela Rippon, the newsreader, serious, professional. Then she started dancing, high kicks, proper dancing. The contrast was perfect. The newsreader dancing, the absurdity. Britain roared, in millions of living rooms, millions of people, laughing at the same moment, at the same joke, together. Helen Morrison's mother-in-law laughed so hard she had to wipe her eyes. "Oh my goodness," she said. "Did you see that?" Everyone had seen. Everyone was laughing. For that moment, nothing else mattered. Not the commentary, not the stress, not the work, just laughter, just joy, just 2 men making Britain happy. The show continued, sketch after sketch, the bed sketch. Eric and Ernie in bed together, wearing striped pajamas, having ridiculous conversations, the jokes building, the absurdity increasing, each sketch funnier than the last. Not because they were clever, but because they were perfectly timed, perfectly delivered. Because Eric and Ernie knew exactly how to make people laugh, had been doing it for decades, knew British humor, knew their audience, knew that Christmas night needed joy, needed silliness, needed laughter that didn't require thought, just response. The play, what Ernie wrote, the same every year. Ernie had written a play, a serious play, with a guest star. This year it was Peter Cushing, playing a king or something historical. But Eric kept interrupting, making jokes, ruining Ernie's serious play. Ernie getting frustrated, Eric not caring. The dynamic perfect. The straight man and the comedian, the serious one and the silly one. The combination that had worked for 20 years would work for 20 more if they'd had 20 more. The finale arrived. Bring me sunshine again. Eric and Ernie dancing. The simple little dance. Side to side, arms swinging. Everyone knew it. Some families danced along. Children copying the moves, parents laughing, the song ending. Eric and Ernie walking off into the sunset. A backdrop. Not real, but symbolic. Walking away together. The Christmas special over. Credits rolling. The living rooms across Britain stayed quiet for a moment. Still smiling. Still warm. The glow of the last hour still there. Then someone would speak. "That was wonderful. Better than last year." I loved the bit with Angela Rippon. The conversation starting. The family talking about what they just watched. Together. Shared experience. Shared joy. Margaret Foster stood. Started collecting wrapping paper. The children still on the floor. Frank helping. "That was good," he said. She nodded. It had been. Always was. Made the whole day worth it. All the cooking, all the stress, all the work. To sit down for 1 hour and laugh. That was the payment. The reward. The tradition. Arthur Bennett's grandchildren were being taken home. Coats on, hugs given. "Bye, Granddad. See you Boxing Day." The house emptying, getting quiet. Arthur sat in his chair, smiling. Another Christmas, another Morecambe and Wise special, another year of the tradition continuing. He'd be here next year. Same chair, same time, same show. That was what you could count on. Helen Morrison's mother-in-law was finally quiet, sitting, content. "That was lovely, dear," she said. Helen smiled. Agreed, it had been. Despite everything, despite the commentary and the stress and the work, this moment, this hour, this laugh, made it Christmas, made it special, made it worth remembering. Across Britain, 28 million people had shared that hour. 28 million people had laughed at the same jokes, watched the same sketches, sung along to the same song. In a country of 56 million, half the population had done the same thing at the same time, chosen the same program, shared the same experience. That doesn't happen anymore. Can't happen anymore. There are too many channels, too many options, too many ways to watch, too many things pulling us apart. In 1977, there were 3 channels: BBC One, BBC Two, ITV. That was it. Most people watched BBC One. Most people watched the same things, not because there was no choice, there was choice, but because some things were events. Some things were traditions. Some things were what you did. Morecambe and Wise on Christmas night was one of those things. You didn't miss it. You didn't record it to watch later. You watched it, live, with your family, with the nation, together. The tradition continued for a few more years, 1978, 1979, 1980. Each year, millions watched. Each year, the same joy, the same laughter, the same ritual. But things were changing. Eric Morecambe had a heart attack in 1979, recovered, kept working. Another in 1984, didn't recover, died backstage at a theater in Cheltenham. 58 years old, too young, too soon. The partnership ended. Ernie continued alone for a while, but it wasn't the same, couldn't be. Morecambe and Wise were 2 halves of one whole. Without Eric, it was incomplete. The Christmas specials stopped. The tradition ended. Not all at once. Gradually. People found other things to watch. Other traditions. Or no traditions. Just individual choices. Separate experiences. The nation stopped gathering around one television. Stopped sharing one moment. Stopped being together. By the 1990s, Christmas television was different. Hundreds of channels, endless choice. Everyone watching something different. In different rooms, on different screens. The shared experience gone. The collective laughter disappeared. The tradition lost. What was lost when Morecambe and Wise ended? More than a television show. More than 2 comedians. There was simplicity. The jokes weren't complicated. Didn't require explanation. Didn't need context. Just 2 men being silly, making Britain laugh. That simplicity is rare now. Everything is ironic, meta, referential. Nothing is just funny. It has to be funny and clever, funny and meaningful, funny and something else. Morecambe and Wise were just funny. That was enough. There was safety. You could watch with your grandmother, with your children, with anyone. Nothing offensive, nothing shocking, just clean, silly, joyful comedy. Families could laugh together without worrying, without tension, without someone being uncomfortable. That safety is rare now. There was togetherness. 28 million people. Same moment, same jokes, same laughter. Everyone at work on Boxing Day would talk about it. Did you see Angela Rippon? What about the bed sketch? Everyone had seen. Everyone could join the conversation. That togetherness doesn't exist anymore. We watch alone, in our own time, on our own devices. Talk to people who watch the same thing we did, but not the nation, not everyone, just our bubble, our algorithm, our choice. There was tradition. Christmas Day had a rhythm, a structure, presents, dinner, Queen's speech, Morecambe and Wise. You could count on it. Plan around it. Know that at 7:45, you'd be laughing. That certainty is gone. Traditions die. New ones don't replace them. Or if they do, they're individual, personal, not collective, not shared. The tradition of the entire nation doing the same thing has ended. Maybe forever. There was innocence. The belief that laughter was enough, that joy was valuable, that making people happy was a worthy goal. No cynicism, no darkness. Just two men in suits slapping each other and dancing and being silly. The innocence of believing that was entertainment, that it mattered, that it was worth 28 million people's time. We've lost that innocence. Entertainment has to be more now. Bigger, darker, more complex. Laughter alone isn't enough. But for 1 hour on Christmas night in 1977, it was enough. It was everything. Eric and Ernie are gone. The show is gone. The tradition is gone. But the memory remains. For those who were there, who watched, who laughed, who sat with their families in warm living rooms, with Quality Street tins and turkey leftovers, and too much food and too little space, who heard that theme music, who saw Eric grab Ernie's lapels, who sang along to Bring Me Sunshine, who walked off into the sunset with them, metaphorically, year after year. The memory remains. Not sad, not tragic, just warm, nostalgic, beautiful. The memory of when Christmas had a soundtrack, when Britain laughed together, when two men in suits could gather 28 million people and make them happy. When that was enough, when that was everything, when that was Christmas, you remember? Do you remember sitting with your family, watching Eric and Ernie, laughing at jokes that weren't complicated, singing the song, doing the dance? Do you remember when television brought us together instead of apart? When entertainment was shared? When Christmas night meant Morecambe and Wise? Share your memories in the comments. Tell us your favorite sketch, your favorite moment, your favorite Christmas watching them. Subscribe for more stories of the Britain we remember, the traditions we've lost, the moments that made us who we were.